Hi teachers, so here is a example of how we use tables. Now tables are used primarily, I suppose, blankly. So there's a table here around the heading, but it's got no borders. Then you have a table used to frame some videos, which is interesting. And then you have table used to contain all your information. It's kind of like framing a page or allowing you to lay out things and contain things. Okay, so we'll look at use of tables. So let's create something to do with plant cells. Okay, create. Now, if I want to quick heading template, okay. There's actually a note in here which uses a table, one of the template note examples. Note example, okay. See, there's a good use of the table here to contain the information. And then a table here with a different border to also contain some text and a video or an animation. So if we go back, delete all that. Now what are we doing? We're doing something on tables. Just call it tables. Okay. So for a table, I can insert 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, how many columns? How big you want your table? Click on it, 2 by 2. It appears like this, and you drag it out. Now if I want to insert an image here, let's say I want to insert an image from Google on plant cells. Click on it. Images. This looks like a decent size. Okay. Copy image address. Back to my note. Insert image. Paste it in. Click for the dimensions. Okay. Now you notice when I paste it in, it shrinks out all the other cells. If I paste a video in here now, let's say, plant cells. Okay, I want to go with this one. Set my video dimensions, 400 by 400, insert. You see it shifts it back the other way, okay? And if I wanted to insert some text, and a plant cell is blah, blah, blah. And if I create lots of that text, you see the more text I have, the more my dimensions expand. Similarly here as well. Okay? So these areas expand depending on how much content you put in them. You can customize your table. Click on it. Table properties. Set the width. Alignment, whether you want it to be in the center, left or right. If you want to give it cell padding. So notice here it's right up to the edge. If I give it a padding of 5, it's going to create a 5 pixel gap between my image and the edge of the table. Okay? If I click OK, just for you to see that, see it's coming a little bit of a gap there. Table properties, if I want to give it a border from 1, it's got a little border there, right the way up to, well, any number I guess. There you go. Bigger the number, wider your border. Now important to note, as you fill your table up, it might go off the page a little bit. So what we might want to do is shrink down some of the components of our table so our table can fit on this space. So in this instance, we'd click our table if you want to center it, table properties, center. And we'll notice our table will move from here to the center of the page. Here we go, center. Now of course we can add individual elements. If you want to merge your cells, so you could click on the cell, merge cell, so it goes to one big cell, split cell, go into cell properties, so you could perhaps change, if I clicked in here, the text is, I could, if I wish, cell properties, change the width of that cell, advanced, I could change the border of that, or could give that cell a particular background. Let's go with this blue. Okay, okay. And that cell's got a different background color. I wanted to change the whole color, so I've done that by putting the cursor in the cell. So if I click on the image and just tab to the right of it, or tab back to the image, and I click on the cell, it's dealing with just that cell. Advanced, I could give the border a color, but let's go with a different color here, something bright. Okay, notice the background of that's gone. You can do the same thing with the whole table. Advanced, border colors, background color, and this changes all of the colors of the cell, of the table. Okay, so I've got a border there. So this stuff allows you to customize your table a little bit. Now tables are useful because they have a nice premise. In some resources we've seen where people want to write note it or think about it. So you could create a table. Oh no, if I want to add another field with my table, I could right click on it, or I could simply go to table, insert row before, insert column before, so I go give it another column and drag it out. Okay, so in here maybe I want to go into the insert file and I want to look for icons and insert an icon. So here in the public folder, click on it. I'm looking for icons for notes. Click on icons for notes. And I have a lot of little icons that might be useful in prompting students, letting them know, note it, have a think about it. What do you feel about it? So if I click on this note it, or note, it'll go in here. And then I can paste some text in, just reminding my student to, as a question, be sure to test yourself on ABC as a means of understanding DEF. So you're just really using, if I shrink it down, you're just using little prompts here, and I can leave my table as is. So if you don't give it a border, if I click on it, table properties, see it's got no border. Click OK, click Save. In the preview, you see it comes up without any border. If I close the preview, click on my table, table properties, give it a border, okay, it's got a little border then. If I preview it, see it's got a little border there. So it depends on how you want your items to be presented and represented. Generally speaking, it's particularly up to you. You can drag and increase the length of your table if you wish, so it goes right the way across. Maybe keep it in line with this table so it's symmetrical. And then you can try and center your little image there in the page so it works. So note it is one example of a simple table that you could use, but there's a range of icons that you could use for your ask for help, quiz, if you're trying to prompt the student, note it, or another note it, try, information, this, just some little ideas that get the student working. Some teachers have used this feature or this sort of way of writing instructional design elements pretty well because it points the student or the reader down a particular path. So if I close that off, save my note, let me just try and find a couple of note examples that I think some teachers did with this. I think accounting is a good example, so bear with me while I try and click open one to find. Cash transactions, cash book maybe? Yeah, so here's an example, a little light bulb idea, just something that pulls the reader back in or just gives them a prompt. So, refresher, like, are you learning this, or please note this. Okay, so that's a brief use of tables and a brief use of inserting icons. Here's our icon, it's a little table, here's a rather gaudy, bright table. But you can use tables in any way. So experiment, practice, try with tables. It's a nice way of laying out your page. So if you want to have 4 images in a row across the page, create a table with 4 columns going across. If you want to have, obviously, explanations and images, it's also a nice way of keeping the page balanced and not trying to make sure you've got enough spaces between them. So tables are a very good tool, very powerful tool in instructional design elements. And then you can use the horizontal page break to move on. So once you've put your information in, you want to move on to the next section in your resource, horizontal line. That's a good way of drawing a little break between it and moving on to something else. Okay, all right, that's the second of our videos today. Thanks very much.